books, ladies and gentlemen. The Cleveland Browns came to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia came out with a win 20-16. I'm looking at the box score and etc. right now. I don't know what you guys thought about the game. I'm glad we got the win. So let's start with that. Let's start with some positives. Let's do it that way. I'm glad we got the win. Coming off a bye, it's definitely something that we needed to see because we had some pretty bad stretch of football. We had the Bucs game where we looked lethargic and looked terrible. Had the really, the bye week where, they took off and they didn't practice. And then, they come out against the Browns. A good defense, by the way, like a really good defense. They were number one in the NFL last year, right now middle of the pack. But, it's still got some good players on every level. And, we played a clean game of football on the offensive side of things in terms of turnover. So if you want to take positives, I like it. I like what I saw. Jalen Hurts went 16 for 25, 264, 2 touchdowns after starting 0 for 5 in the beginning of the game. All right, so he went 16 for 20 after that. And, having A.J. Brown back in the lineup seems to be the answer for some of the offensive woes. At least Jalen Hurts this game looked the most comfortable he's been all year. So that's a positive on that sense. And, pardon me. And then Devonta Smith had that big 40-yarder touchdown on the drag to kind of give us a comfortable lead at that point. So that was nice to see. Again, I don't know about you. I didn't think this game was a coming out party for Philadelphia. I think if you were expecting more from the Philadelphia Eagles coming off this bye against a good defense like the Browns, I think you were giving this team too much credit. It's just this team has a lot of holes, and I don't know. When you're playing against the Cleveland Browns and it's a nip-tuck ball game, I don't know. Especially when you're coming off a bye and you play the Cleveland Browns and it's a 4-point game. And then you're Sirianni on the sideline yelling at the fans, talking about, like you're trying to say I can't hear you. What he said, he's trying to just all the theatrics and all that stuff. It's just immature. And when you were literally you're literally on the hot seat, dude. Yeah, and I get it. You won this game, and it was a tough ball game. But it's one of the worst teams in football. You got the Carolina Panthers, you got the Jags, and then you got the Browns. Like you have too much talent on the offensive side of the ball to be this anemic and to look that. It looked too tough to me, in my opinion, especially coming off a bye. But we'll get into that in just a moment. We'll talk about the defense and we'll talk about the offense and what it means for us going forward. But let me introduce the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Badi. I'm an Eagle fan like you who wants to see the Birds in the Midnight Green succeed. And I wanted to create a channel, an open forum where we can bring on discussion and have fans give their opinions. So if you're down with that, please hit the subscribe button and shoot this video a thumbs up to help me get out to as many other Eagle fans as possible. So, like I said before, you played the Cleveland Browns tough. Good for you. You got the win. You covered the spread. Big whoop. What was nice, though, like I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts looked the most comfortable he's been. We saw 0 turnovers out of him. He played a really clean game. And when we needed plays to be made, Jalen Hurts made them for the most part, I think. Okay? Again, having A.J. Brown back in the lineup, it's a comfort zone for him, and it puts everybody in a correct slot where the offense tends to flow a little bit better. A lot of injuries came from this game, which was really tough. Dallas Goedert, Darius Slay, Jordan Mailata, all hammy injuries. And you kind of have to wonder, all these hamstring soft tissue injuries that we keep getting with A.J. Brown, Goddard, Mailata, Slay, How much of it is a conditioning thing? Can't all have the same type of soft tissue injury, right? That just means like we're not working. To me, from my opinion, and I guess just from a medical perspective, because I had that background, it just seems like there's a lack of training for these types of things. There's a lack of conditioning on this football team. And when you're a team that is trying to be, fast and play tough and have clean operations, you can't be a team that has no conditioning. Okay. And then, like, it's just not a good look to me, in my opinion. Coming off the bye, I expected a little bit more in terms of how much control we had over the game. And we played the Browns, who have our terrible offense with Deshaun Watson. So this defense, yes, you held them to, 9 offensive points. Kudos to you. You held Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns to 9 offensive points. But I thought there were times where this defense looked really awful. They still have a problem with tackling. They still have a problem, against the run. Like, Cleveland ran the ball on them at will. And, again, Deshaun Watson went 16 for 23. Yeah, it was 168 yards, but no interceptions. And, the Browns ran it when they needed to run it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think when you're playing a better team, you got a problem, okay? You're lucky the Cleveland Browns are just like one of the worst teams in football. So this defense, got 5 sacks. And yes, Nolan Smith looked okay, and Bryce Huff looked better playing with the 5-man front and being a pure pass rusher. Yes, so that's a nice sign. Cooper DeJean looked really good on the field at times, right? He had some rookie moments, but you know what? That's expected. I'm not going to kill the guy for over pursuing certain times, but he looked like he belonged. He's a much better player than Avonte Maddox at this point, which is nice to see. I'm happy with what I saw out of Cooper DeJean and this defense, at least on, in terms of how it looked with rookies out there. Quinyon Mitchell's a stud, like I said again. Like the guy's just a purely good football player. Football player. Say that 5 times fast, right? Again, I'm not surprised by the outcome of this game. I expected to win. We got the win. Did I expect them to be a little bit more controlling in this game? Yes, I did. But again, when you're a team that goes into the bye, doesn't practice for a week, and you come out like that, it's kind of expected. They looked like a team that didn't practice too much. That's what it looked like. And the offense, well, yes, Jalen Hurts had a clean game, and it's about damn time he had a clean game. I don't know. I thought the offense was slow a little bit. I thought the defense came out a little sluggish, and then they started picking up their play a little bit more. A win's a win. It's a good win, I guess. I'm not going to look too much into it because it was against the Browns. Now, next week you got the Giants, a division opponent, who that's not going to be an easy game. That's going to be a much tougher game than this Cleveland Browns game. And quite frankly, if you play like that against the Giants, like you just did against the Browns, you're probably going to lose because you want to shit on the Giants all you want. They play every damn game tough. Every game I think they've played this year has been a one-possession game for the most part, especially in their losses. Okay, like that is not a team. That is not a game that you can just chalk up as a victory. Okay, you're going to have to come and be ready to play that game. And with this defense and its inability to tackle and its inability to stop the run and its inability to, cover quality receivers, Malik Neighbors is a damn good player. Wan'Dale Robinson's a decent player. Darius Slayton has killed us before. Daniel Jones the last few weeks has looked pretty good. They went to Seattle and got a win. That's impressive enough. And their front 7 on the defensive side of the ball, that defense for the New York Giants, that's a good unit. It's a good unit. And yeah, I know A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are going to be there, and you have Saquon Barkley, the revenge game, etc. But again, I need to see this offense and this team just string games together of consistent ball before I can give a really, really high praise opinion about this team. You beat the Browns. You kept the game clean on the offensive side of the ball. Good for you. Do you want a glass of milk and cookies? You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to do what you did against the Browns, albeit so close. Hey, it's what I expect from this team. This team is a 9 to 10 win team. Maybe you get a playoff win just based on your talent, depending on your matchup, but I'm not expecting much from this football team. Okay. I want this defense to get better every single week, and I want this offense and Jalen Hurts to be able to read a defense and get better every single week. Did we take a step in the right direction in that sense? Perhaps. And maybe that's the type of thing that you want to see going forward. And by the end of the season, my tune's going to change. But as of right now, living in this moment, it is what it is. You got to win. Good for you. I'm not going to make too much more out of it, okay? I'm glad to have A.J. Brown back. Jordan Mailata getting a hammy injury. Tough loss. It's not going to be an easy thing that's not going to be an easy player to replace. Yeah, you got Fred Johnson and all these other guys, but Mailata, one of the best left tackles in football, that's not an easy replacement, okay? We already felt the impact of losing Lane Johnson a few weeks ago. Again, he was phenomenal today, but these injuries are going to start to pile up a little bit, and we're going to have to see what we're made of as a football unit. And just one more thing before we get out of here. Kellen Moore, dude, another game where the first quarter you don't score any points. I don't know what it is. Is it the game plan? Is it rust? Did Jalen Hurts check out of a lot of plays? And, I don't know what it was or what it is with the slow starts on this football team. But, again, it's an awful look coming off a bye, and you look that sluggish in the beginning of the game. I don't know. Any other team in the NFL that's coming off a bye, I can guarantee you, they're at least their first scripted drive, it's going to be sharp as shit. It's going to be sharp as hell. It's going to be in rhythm, on time, like a machine. And yet, once again, this team has come out slow, lethargic, and it takes them a while to get into the game. And if you have really big aspirations for this team, as this team does, you cannot have slow starts. Can't do it. Especially when you have a defense that's as anemic as this one. So, next week when we play the Giants, I want to see us come out with a faster start. I want to see us be able to just string together first downs consistently and not have hiccups on the offensive side of the ball. I would like to see another clean game from Jalen Hurts. That would be nice to see. And maybe we get Saquon Barkley on the ground going again. Because if we have all those pieces together, this team could maybe do something significant next week. But, again, we're not at that point right now. We got to enjoy the win against the Browns. So, yes, kudos to the Eagles. I dropped my phone. Good kudos to me. You got the win. Got a W. You're 3-2 off the bye. And now you got a division game coming up against the Giants, who you got to prepare for. So, we shall see with this team. Right now, the noise has calmed down a little bit as far as the Eagles go. But if Nick Sirianni is going to act like that after the game's over on a 4-point win against the Browns, I don't know. You got a conditioning issue, you got a maturity issue with the coach, and you have a lack of professionalism, in my opinion, when you're coming out games slow. Do I see that going away anytime soon? To be honest with you, I don't. Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.